Hello, everybody. Welcome back in to the third segment of the cycle for this week. I am once again Mike Maher, still Mike Maher, and I am joined once again by Kelly Kirby. And Kelly, how are you doing? And are you ready to close out this week's series of the cycle?
Yeah, I think I'm doing better. And
better than
awake.
Worm?
I'm way better than Worm.
Better
but
than Worm.
Yeah, no, I'm doing well, and I'm excited to close it out because I love talking pitching. So this should be great.
I do too. I'm in a bunch of leagues where I stream pitching by choice or necessity, or I just do it to torture myself. But I like kind of targeting matchups that I like. Sometimes I'll do like a week or two in advance, see if I can kind of sneak pitchers in that way. Like we talked in the previous video, I kind of snuck Tony Gonsolin in before people were thinking about him. That went very well. Tobias Myers, not going so well for me. But yeah, let's get right into it. We often use our when we talk pitching streamers, we kind of go day by day because some people like to. We've heard some requests. Some people like to have pitching streamers for every day because they're in daily leagues and they can just kind of like rotate through or pick which ones they want, whether they have like daily transactions or just daily lineups. They like to have daily options, and so we break it down. We start with Monday, go all the way through Sunday, and we use the FantasyPros Pitching Streamer Tool, which is a really cool tool that we have on the site, where you can just put it, open it up, you sync your leagues, and it shows you who's available in your league and their matchup and whether or not it's a good or bad matchup, and some recent WOBA numbers. And so yeah, it's very useful if you're someone like me who streams pretty consistently. And so let's get right into it. Kelly, you are the person who put the names in the sheet, so I will toss it over to you, and we can start going through starting with Monday. Who do you like to stream this week?
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. The top VBR pitcher on Monday is Matthew Boyd for the Cubs, up against San Francisco, but it's at home. So I wanted to pick that one, but being at home makes me a little bit nervous about that game if the wind is blowing out, which it seems to have been a lot this year. So I actually jumped down, and this will be the only White Sox that I probably ever recommend. But I'm curious about streaming Shane Smith against Kansas City. I think that he matches up okay with them. And he's got 26 strikeouts in 32 innings. His ERA is 2.23, whip is 108. So I thought that he would be a good option just to see if Kansas City's continuing to struggle to get on base, that he could provide some value.
Yeah, I like Shane Smith a lot. I added him in a few dynasty leagues, either early this season or right before the season started. I watched him pitch earlier in the year, and I was just really impressed. I think the wheels kind of came off late in that game, but he may have just been in there a little bit too long. But I remember watching it, and I was like, this guy's pretty good. I kind of like him what I'm seeing here. He's got some juice. And yeah, I'm seeing here in the FantasyPros Pitcher Streaming Tool that the Kansas City Royals are highlighted in green. And green means good, as we know. It does look like he's lined up to go against Cole Reagans, but if Reagans is going to make that start, though, we're not sure. I also thought I heard Reagans might start Sunday, so we'll see. I'm not sure if that's exactly true. Let me double check another source here. No, they're saying Monday. We have it right. So yeah, probably wouldn't want to line up against him, but also we don't know if I think Reagans throwing a bullpen today, possibly right now while we're talking. Cole Reagans throwing a bullpen session. To see how that sore groin feels, which I feel like he probably should have just gone on the IL. But I'm not a major league manager, so yeah. I don't always. Usually it's the opposite. I'm targeting the White Sox offense when I'm pitching streaming pitchers. But I like Shane Smith. I can get down with that. Some other names potentially available in your leagues for Monday are Matthew Boyd. Maybe he's been doing all right, not too bad. He's available in some leagues, maybe not some others. Looks like 26% consensus roster. It's probably dragged down by ESPN a little bit. I don't want to do Landon Roop against the Cubs. Tobias Myers. One more time, Tobias Myers against the Astros, struggling off Astros offense. I will be streaming Tobias Myers. I don't even know if you can consider it streaming if I stream the guy every week because he's just on my teams right now.
Yep.
I also like an AJ Smith-Shawver, who's been pitching really well. He's got the Reds, but not in Cincinnati. So that's good. Yep. At Cincinnati, bad. Against Cincinnati, somewhere else, good. But that's enough about Monday. Let's go over to Tuesday. Who do you got for Tuesday?
On Tuesday, I think in our last segment we called Steven Matz a pitcher who exists, and on Tuesday he is facing Pittsburgh at home. He is not rostered very many places, so I feel like that's a decent streamer. Just again, Pittsburgh versus lefties. He could function as a major league pitcher, maybe get you a win. So that's who I'm going with.
I was surprised to see he already has 24 innings pitched. I feel like he just came back, but I guess he had been in the bullpen and now he's just now starting. Because I thought he was like hurt and like came back, but I was like, how does this guy have 24 innings pitched? But he was in the bullpen and now he's starting. He's made 2 starts. But yeah, so far so good. If you want to talk yourself out of it, we talked in the previous segment about looking at like FIP, XFIP, Sierra. Pick the one you want. Right now his ERA is 1.5. And if you're pro Steven Matz, his FIP is 1.89. If you're anti Steven Matz, his XFIP is 3.49. So it depends on which narrative you're trying to spin. But I do like it. I like the matchup. The Pirates are a bottom 5 offense according to our pitcher streaming tool. So again, not the worst option. How about Wednesday?
On Wednesday, I have Michael Wacha. If he's available, I think his roster percentage is slightly higher. So he might not be, but in some leagues, he might be sitting out there, and he gets the White Sox at home. So I will take that all day long.
Yeah, that's the classic strategy of going against the White Sox offense when you can, as opposed to targeting their pitchers. But yeah, I'm not the biggest Michael Wacha fan. I don't know that there are a ton of really big Michael Wacha fans out there. But again, he's a guy. He's like a high floor, low ceiling kind of guy who he probably won't get you killed. But he doesn't strike out a ton of batters. Although 26 and 32 innings, that's fine. It's not bad. He might be able to get more out of the White Sox. I do want to mention. I forgot to mention when I was talking before about Steven Matz. Again, not ideal. It does look like he's lined up to go against Paul Skeens. That doesn't always matter with the Pirates because a lot of times they just don't give him any run support. So maybe that's actually a good thing. Maybe you'll have to deal with like 5 or 6 shutout innings from Paul Skeens, but then as long as you don't give up a ton of runs, maybe you still get a win. Other names for Wednesday. Let's see. I'm not seeing a lot of other intriguing options. Quinn Priester against the Astros. I've not enjoyed the Quinn Priester experience so far, so I'm probably not going to dive back into that. He's someone I've streamed recently. Probably not gonna go with that one. Probably gonna stay. I'd rather go with a Michael Wacha. Tanner Houck against the Rangers. I'm not ready to get hurt by Tanner Houck yet again. He looked better in his most recent start, but I'm not ready to get hurt again. We talk about low floor. There's a low floor there. We saw it. Well, yeah, I like the option of Wacha against the White Sox. You rarely go wrong targeting the White Sox because a bad start against the White Sox is not like a bad start against the Dodgers. They are different realms. Yep. Thursday we have blank. It seems like we don't like Thursday.
We don't like Thursday. First, there's a lot of players who are just highly rostered going, so that's where it gets a little bit trickier. And the only one that I was kind of interested in was Jose Soriano against Toronto at home, but that's not enough that I would want to pick him up and stream him.
Thursday, small slate day, so that's kind of where we run into trouble there. I do want to double check one thing though. Because we have Sugano going up against the Twins, but it looks like that may have changed. Let's see.
Oh, it may have changed since yesterday.
I think it changed. So
yeah.
We originally had. It's funny because I told you Friday is our tough day. Or no, it looks like we had him on Saturday. But it looks like we had Sugano on Saturday, but they have changed their rotation. So it looks like Sugano is going to start. He's no longer starting Saturday against the Angels. He's now starting Thursday against the Twins. So not to spoil our Saturday pick, but it was Tomoyuki Sugano. Do you still like him as a Thursday streamer against the Twins? Or are you out now that it's not the Angels?
No, I mean, because I saw him on here and I thought that seemed interesting that I hadn't looked at him. But in Minnesota right now with this, like, it's been pretty cold. It's been pretty like crappy weather overall. So I don't hate it. They've been struggling a little bit too. So yeah, I could stream him for that one.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah, Thursday, small slate day. Not a whole lot out there. There's a few bigger names pitching, so that also decreases the available streamers. Other names, Brayan Bello. He pitched pretty well in his first start, but still kind of tough to trust, even though it is against the Rangers. But Corey Seager will be back by then, so it will be a Rangers offense with Corey Seager. And without Jake Berger, you don't get that free out anymore. Yeah, and other than that, like Jack Leiter, I'm not getting down with Jack Leiter against the Red Sox in Boston. Not that the Red Sox offense has been great, but anything can happen in Fenway Park. So I'm not trying to take that risk with the Jack Leiter stream. And everyone else is either going to be not available or I'm not interested. So let's jump over to Friday. What do you got for Friday?
On Friday, I have Jose Quintana. I laughed because because Quintana and Matz are like the same pitcher in my brain, just that lefty that you're like, oh yeah, so apparently he is still here. I don't love the matchup he's in Tampa against Tampa, but he's also he's in kind of one of those modes he gets in where he's just firing and getting people out. And so I feel like that's a winnable game for the Brewers, and I don't mind. I would be fine streaming him, I guess. Since I know it's hard when Patrick Corbin is also on the list, but I would stick with Quintana on that one.
Yeah, like at some point the wheels are going to come off for Jose Quintana. You just have to hope you're not, it's like hot potato. You're not the one holding the Jose Quintana when he goes off.
Yep.
He's an interesting one. I've mentioned, I forget if it was last week or the week before, like I'm streaming him everywhere. He was like a 2-star pitcher. I needed pitching. I needed volume. I'm just streaming him. And so far it's going great. But I know this is not a long-term fix. And he's a fun one. If you want to talk about ERA and expected numbers, ERA 1.14, Sierra 4.65, xERA 4.42, xFIP 4.31, and then FIP 3.36, a little bit lower. He gets the Tampa offense, which is not scary. But he's in Tampa, which is scary. But he keeps the ball on the ground, which is good. Home runs bad, ball on the ground good.
Yes.
So Jose Quintana probably not going to get a ton of strikeouts, but hopefully this is not the week that he turns back into a pumpkin. So we originally had Tomoyuki Sugano on Saturday, but we had to remove him because he got moved to Thursday. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. Let's do it in real time.
Okay.
Is there anyone else that we like for Saturday? And in previous weeks, We've actually avoided Friday for 2 weeks in a row because Worm made a good point a few weeks ago of, we like to stream. We can stream it. We're going to look at streaming options for every day, but sometimes the best option is just to stream nobody. Sometimes streaming no one is better than streaming a bad pitcher. But that being said, on short notice, is there anyone on Saturday that sticks out now that we had to move Sugano?
How afraid of Edward Cabrera are we? Because he pitches against the White Sox.
White Sox? That's always a decent approach. If you just stream against the White Sox, there are worse strategies.
So yeah, if assuming Ranger Suarez is back, it says he's listed to go up against Cleveland, but I don't know if we want to play that card yet. So yeah, on the spot, I unless you need it, Cabrera against the White Sox is the only one that I would consider, and even then, I think I would probably pass on it.
I would mention this. So on Monday you mentioned Shane Smith. If you're in a weekly league and you have to lock Shane Smith in, he's a 2-star pitcher in his second start against the Marlins. I don't hate that.
No.
I don't hate that at all. I always like streaming 2-star pitchers because then you're streaming for volume.
Yep.
So I don't hate that. And then also I think this is going to change. I think we had Ben Kasparius as a 2-star pitcher, but I think that has changed. Yeah, he's unlikely to be a 2-star pitcher now. But like we said before, originally it was against it was at Miami, and then against the Diamondbacks. I'm okay missing that Diamondbacks start, so no problems there. And then what about for Sunday?
And Then on Sunday, I went with Lucas Giolito. Again, going back against Kansas City on the road. We talked in a previous segment that I'm not a big Giolito fan, but I do think that matchup is all right. So I would do that. I kind of like Landon Rope against the Twins, but either one, those would be my two streamers that I see on the page.
Yeah, and Lucas Giolito, like we talked about in our first segment of the week, our first video of the week, he looked good in that first, especially for first start back after missing basically 2 years. He was locating well until the very end. It was he was one strike away from 6 shutout innings and having a phenomenal first start. And then he ended up walking, I think, George Springer. He had Dalton Varsho 0-2, and then he just he tried to bury a changeup and he just left it right over the middle of the plate. 2-run home run. And then Alejandro Kirk also hit a home run, and he ended up, he still escaped with a quality start, but he was one strike away from a really good start. And I think there was even a point there where he got squeezed on a potential strike 3 that really could have gone the other way. But yeah, I'm not super in on Giolito, but I do think he was intriguing enough in that first start that you can target him here against the Royals. Kyle Gibson at the Angels. Are you without Mike Trout? No Mike Trout. But it is Kyle Gibson. Do you have any interest in Kyle Gibson?
I have no interest in Kyle Gibson.
Oh, come on. Tyler Anderson on the other side. Tyler Anderson against the Orioles.
I mean, I'm probably more on his side, but even again, I don't really want anything to do with either one of them if I can help it.
Completely cromulent Tyler Anderson. Worm likes when I make Simpsons references because he's actually never seen The Simpsons. So I like to squeeze a Simpsons reference in whenever I can. My default is just to call someone cromulent because that's at least a reference that he knows now. I'm trying to find a good time to squeeze in the Mark McGwire reference. I don't know if you've watched The Simpsons, but have you ever seen the Mark McGwire episode? Yeah.
I don't think so.
There's a whole baseball episode from way back when, where they say Major League Baseball is spying on people, and eventually at the end they send Mark McGwire in on a helicopter, and they're asking Mark McGwire why Major League Baseball is spying on them, and he's like, "Do you want to know the horrifying truth, or do you want to see me hit a few dingers?" And they're like, "Dingers!" And so he just takes the evidence and buries it in his hat, and he starts hitting home runs. Great reference. Okay, so those are our pitching streamers for the week, and we got our Simpsons reference out of the way as well. So 2 really good segments to knock out there. And now we have our 2-start pitcher competition that Worm and I do head-to-head every week. I didn't update the previous week. We'll wait until Worm is back to tally it. He likes to look at the league settings, and last year we do it by the points that from a league that Worm is in for the points category to track all the points for that. I am now in that league, so I can see the points. I think there are some wacky settings, but overall, it's fine. There's some outfield assist points that I don't care for, but that doesn't really impact the pitching thing. But I won't complain about it. But for this week, you'll be filling in, and we'll wait till Worm's back to tally the results. But who are you going with for your 2-start pitcher of the week? And I will say it was almost someone that Worm had as a backup a couple weeks ago because it looked like Hunter Brown might not make 2 starts, but he didn't. So Bryce Miller, I almost said the name. I did say the name. So tell me why you are targeting
You did say the name.
Bryce Miller despite pitching in one of those ballparks that is very pro offense right now.
Yeah, I just looked over. I kind of went with 2 things. One, I was trying to figure out who Worm wouldn't mind me taking off the board for him. But then 2, yeah, he's at the Athletics, which is not a great ballpark to go in, but I liked it paired with facing Toronto at home, which was super green on our 2-start pitchers tool. So that was the option. I looked at yours and almost picked it, but I just went the other way. So yeah, that's really all I've got on it. I just didn't know who Worm would mind me stealing, considering that I don't want him blaming me for anything.
Well, if you don't want Worm to mind, we can change your pick to, let's see.
I mean, Sandy Alcantara is facing the Dodgers, according to
Carmen Mlodzinski. He wouldn't mind if you took him.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He's pitcher for the Pirates going at the Cardinals and versus the Braves. I don't think Worm will mind him not being on the board anymore.
No, you know what? I'll take Shane Smith against Kansas City and Miami. Smith? I'm changing. I'm going to go Shane Smith. So I'm going to rewrite. Okay. Cool.
All right. You want to spoil mine since I said yours by accident?
Yeah, I was going to say I looked at Zack Wheeler, but I thought that he might be angry if I took him off. So.
Yeah, I am going Zack Wheeler. Again, he's at Tampa Bay, so not an ideal ballpark to target for a streaming pitcher. And then at Cleveland, better team, worse offensive ballpark. But still, one of the best pitchers in baseball. And in previous weeks, it's been kind of like really light on two-star pitchers. This week is really good for two-star pitchers, at least in terms of like top names. Like Corbin Burns, Zach Allen, Chris Sale. Shane Smith, your boy. Cole Reagans is protected. Sandy Alcantara gets the Dodgers again. Oh, man. That poor guy. He's going right back to the Dodgers. Oh, boy. Michael King, Bryce Miller. Yeah, there's some decent names. In previous weeks, we were really scraping the barrel. Yeah, the current standings are tied 1-1. And just, your pick will count for Worm's record, just like it will when he disappears in 2 weeks to go do football. And but yeah, and I don't know if were you here? I don't think you were here when I tallied the last year's two-star pitcher competition. We tied. Worm refuses to believe that we tied, even though he didn't check any of the results himself. But I double and triple checked it, and I tied. And he accused me of just like giving myself a win the final week, and I was like, no, I actually lost the final week. It turns out I was like up, a matchup, and then we tied. So yeah, this year, whoever wins will have to determine what a fair punishment is. We should just punish Worm regardless for leaving us early, whereas you and I close out the season and are here every week. And now we're not closing out the season, but let's close out the episode with weekend excitement. Worm always likes to finish on a warm and fuzzy note to think for what we're looking forward to this weekend. So I'll let you go first as our guest for the week. What's your weekend excitement? What are you looking forward to this weekend?
My Cubs are playing the Brewers. I call it Wrigley North mostly, so if Fitz ever watches this, he can get just a little irritated. But my big one is the NHL playoffs are continuing. My Oilers made it on to round 2, which is going to start this weekend. And this is where I plug that Tyler and I have a live stream on Twitch on Tuesdays and Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern, where we cover what bets we're doing. And so far, we're hitting at a pretty solid rate. So if you want to tune into that, that's my other focus. So what do you got going on this weekend?
Nice. Also, that live stream is twitch.tv/fantasypros, I believe is the URL. And
yes,
we're doing a ton of stuff on Twitch now. We just started it this year. We're having a lot of fun with it, and it's going very well. And I think it's probably here to stay. So as opposed to like YouTube and other places where we kind of have different channels for everything, we're just putting everything on like one Twitch channel for right now, and just seeing how it goes. We've had a really positive response to it. People really enjoy it, and we're having a lot of fun with it. And so yeah, give us a follow on Twitch, twitch.tv/fantasypros, and join us over there, because we're going to be doing a bunch of like stuff that's live on Twitch, and then we upload it onto YouTube as a video and maybe audio in the podcast feed. But if you want to join us live for stuff, join us over there on Twitch. It's a lot of fun. For me, weekend excitement, Kentucky Derby. I'm not the biggest horse racing fan, but it takes like 1 minute. I'll watch it. It's like 6:30 on Saturday. I have to do enough work for it here at Betting Pros that I might as well watch it and see who wins. This year, there's a horse named Journalism, so really hoping that Journalism wins. I think there's also a horse named, is it Publisher or Publishing? I think there's Publisher. I assume it's the same owner, if I had to guess. Journalism, Publisher, I imagine that's the same owner, but if not, I hope they both win. I hope one comes first, one comes in second. As someone who has a journalism background, very fun for me. And then there are some pretty good baseball series this weekend. We have Diamondbacks Phillies. I'm a Red Sox fan, but I have I always watch the Phillies as well. As someone who loves all things Philly. The return of the best pitcher in baseball, Ranger Suarez. I obviously have to watch that. Dodgers Braves again. I forget if I mentioned in a previous video or not, but it feels like the Braves got off to such a poor start, and it feels like every time I turn around, they're facing the Dodgers again. And I'm like, are they just play the Dodgers every weekend? These poor guys are trying to like turn things around. Like Strider's down, Acuna's down, and they're just like, oh, here's Ohtani and the Dodgers again, like just kicking us while we're down. And then Dylan Cease versus the Pirates, and I would really like Dylan Cease to be good Dylan Cease, not bad Dylan Cease, because I have him in a few leagues as well, and I want that like mid-3s ERA and 200 strikeouts. I don't want a 6 ERA and 200 strikeouts. And it's a pretty good matchup for him, and I would like him to be good Dylan Cease and not bad Dylan Cease. And that's all I got. Anything else from you? Any parting words of wisdom?
Parting words of wisdom? No, I really don't have any at this
poems
point. Just stay, just be very careful with Dalton Varsho. That's pretty much what I have to offer. So otherwise, it's been fun sitting in.
All right. For Kelly Kirby, I'm Mike Maher. This has been The Cycle, and thank you for stopping by.